Yo, what up? It's Code Bro, and today we have our very first topic request. So shout out to Andrei Bondarev. Thank you very much for the kind words and the respect and the great topic idea, which is a tutorial explaining how to do text on image on hover. For instance, I hover over Van Damme and the image darkens and the text appears on it. Thank you again for your wonderful lessons. Hey man, thank you. And that's a great topic idea. In fact, I have a lot to say on this issue because, as you might have seen in some of my other videos, I use inline styles. It's just my preferred way of doing it. And maybe one of the most controversial thing that I do is I use React state management to handle hover. Because for me, it just seems to make a lot of sense, and it seems to show exactly what's going on within the component, and I don't like the pseudo-class which CSS provides. I can show you. CSS provides the pseudo-class here called hover, and for sure there are ways to manipulate certain things on the page using hover, but basically it only can pass things down. It can't, like from the parent to children, like you can see I've done here. Whereas if you, for example, in React have is hovered, which is what I use for the name of the state, you can do anything you want with that. You can pass it anywhere. You can pass it back in a callback. You can, well, actually you probably wouldn't want to do that, but yeah, you can do that if you want. You can just put it anywhere you want within the component, which I see as an amazing benefit because it means your animations can be far more dynamic. So obviously I'm a big proponent for inline styles, and this is an excellent example of where inline styles can be quite strong. So thanks again, Andre, for the good idea and good topic request. So let's get started. I'm going to first show you how it can be done using simple CSS. Okay, I got some crazy stuff here. First I'll show you what the finished result will be. And I haven't used Van Damme this time. I'm using our code bro, our bro, Dirty Harry. So you hover on Dirty Harry and the text appears, go ahead punk, make my day. And the image darkens as well. So yeah, this can be done in CSS no trouble. Yeah, I've just, the background image is, I've added like a linear gradient just to make it a little fancier, but you don't have to do that. You can remove this if you want to. But basically it's just a image covering the background, and then I've got an inner table which I use to center the text. It may seem there are other ways to do this. You can also position it absolutely, but I decided to use text align center and vertical align middle to achieve this. But the important part is this hover. So I was a bit lazy, you know, I used brightness. The filter CSS property has a load of different cool effects you can use, but brightness can simply make it that sort of darker effect, provide that darker effect. There are other ones like contrast could do probably the same thing, but I decided brightness was the way to go this time. And I say lazy because it just seems so simple to change the brightness. I'll go more into the details of this later on in the video. Okay, and to hover the text, I was also pretty lazy. Like I didn't target this very specifically, so I just put that like underneath it, which means this is the parent. Okay, so you can go here and see, here's the parent, CB hover. And once the parent is hovered, the child, any child with this CSS name will be targeted within the parent. So obviously I've got that here. And that's why I call it lazy, because it's like anything can be targeted. But I'm using BEM, block element modifier notation. So I guess it's notation. So that means that it's very unlikely that another class name will exist called this. You might also be like, well, why do you have CB in front of it? What's the CB for? Well, that's code bro, which I basically put a little prefix before that, just so if, for example, I import a library which also has this hover class, it won't get messed up with that. Alright, so basically there's a transition for the text which goes from 0 to 1, and the brightness transitions. I don't have a brightness. I should probably add something like this here. So there's a brightness which goes from 1, which is the default, I suppose, to 0.5. I got a CSS lint telling me it should be like that. Okay. Alright, so that achieves that effect. So pretty cool, pretty cool. Now let's look at the inline style method. So to turn off our CSS, I'll just comment this component did mount method. This is just adding a style sheet in dynamically, because actually I don't even have any style sheets on my website. Everything is inline styles, so yeah, I have to do that dynamically, but yeah. Okay, now my favorite inline styles. Just comment these back in and we'll see if it works. Hopefully it works. Yeah, you can yeah, I'll get to the details soon, but first we'll reload the page, reload it from scratch, because I think it needs to remove that old style sheet, and yeah, that's working pretty nicely. Alright, so yeah, the thing I like about inline styles is, like, to me that's really clear. It's like, is hovered, if it's hovered then it's 0.5, otherwise it's 1. For me, this is a little less readable. You have to like go down here and then it's like hover and sort of guess where everything is. Here it's like, for me, super simple. But that's just my opinion. And especially for the hover underscore text, it's like, okay, you can see that's directly affecting this here tag, h1 tag. Whereas here, I mean, you can get that. I mean, I guess that's pretty readable, but in my opinion, this is better. Now, the downsides, I mean, because it's not all positive, there's also downsides. I guess the biggest one, the one that a lot of people are, the reason why people don't use it is because it requires a bit of boilerplate. So here we have like two event listeners, on mouse enter and on mouse leave. And we have to connect that up with state to create a is hovered true or is hovered false. And we have to add state, of course, and well, I'm using TypeScript, so I've added that into as an interface as well. So yeah, it's like, you got to add at least 5 lines more of code. Oh, sorry, 5, maybe 10 more lines of code. But in my opinion, it's worth it. Okay. Now, so I mean, yeah, maybe you guys can comment or respond to which one you think is better, the CSS or the inline styles. Could be interesting. I know there are strong proponents for both sides. I just really like having everything inside the component, everything visible, everything really clear. To me, it's more readable, but hey, there are a lot of people who disagree with that, so yeah, that's cool. Now, there is an issue with this. Not with like the style method, but you might notice that this should be a much brighter white. That looks a little bit like gray. Go ahead, punk, make my day. So it's kind of gray color, And the reason for that is because I've applied a filter to my parent. And when you do that, basically all of the children become also filtered like this. Now, the solution to this, a lot of people would say that you use a pseudo-class after or before. Okay, well, in the next video, I'll show you how you can basically create another element which gets the filter applied to it, so you are not affecting the children as well when you filter the parent. And that's why I say it's lazy, because the right way to do it is obviously to put like another div in there and filter that div, which covers the whole screen but does not contain any children which can be affected as well. But yeah, that's a pretty stylish effect, pretty modern effect, so enjoy, and I hope you guys have learned a little bit about inline styles as well. It's pretty cool. So yeah, have a great day, and next time I'll help you all out with the pseudo class before and after. Because by the way, that is very easily imitated in inline styles as well. And this time, not so much boilerplate, so yeah, that'll be worth checking out. Alright, have a good day. See you later.